Hello. So I apologize about the light quality. I'm on travel, have been for a little bit, and just stuck with the hotel room. But I wanted to talk about my predictions for Discovery Season 3. I'm actually looking quite forward to the new season. I'm actually a big fan of the first two seasons, well, the second season in particular. And so I'm really looking forward to this third season. So, season 3 takes place something like 930 years after the end of season 2. Michael uses the Red Angel suit and travels through time, and Discovery follows right behind her. So they have to go into the future to ensure that the Control doesn't gain access to the sphere data, because once Control gets the sphere data, they become all Terminator and kill all humanoid life and shit. So yeah, that's why they've done that, and this takes place right after they go to the future. So why would they do this kind of behind the scenes? Because, well, story-wise, it's just kind of the arc that they're on, but behind the scenes, the creators wanted to get themselves out of the Star Trek canon, because how they were originally envisioned is the show takes place 10 years before Kirk, and they were definitely struggling with that aspect of it. Not so much not telling good stories, but just kind of fan backlash when, oh hey, this doesn't line up with canon, I'm not someone who's too much of a nitpick on that stuff, because Star Trek honestly has never been consistent with its canon. So if you're gonna gripe about canon consistencies within Star Trek, I mean, what show have you been watching? So heading to the long distant future, theoretically, they're not really going to have to worry too much about that, because anything different between species is going to be just kind of like, well, I mean, it's been 1,000 years, so whatever. And of course, the people who had the issue with the aesthetics of Discovery being looking like it was a show developed in 2020, as opposed to 1966, Yeah, some people were actually confused by that. How come it doesn't look like in a show produced in 2017, how come it doesn't look like it was produced in 1966 when it's supposed to take place during the same time? It's kind of like, use your goddamn head, idiot. So anyway, I'm going to go on the predictions. So these are my predictions, and I don't have any insider information or anything. This is just kind of what I think will happen based on where I think the show is going and the little bit that we have from the trailer. The Federation is largely absent in this time period due to something called the Burn. So I'm going to guess that this has something to do with time travel, simply because that's just kind of where my head's going, because I think that they're going to really emphasize time travel again this season, because from what my understanding is that Michelle Yeoh is going to head up the Section 31 show, which is going to be back in the original time frame. So there's going to be some kind of time travel element to this season, I'm guessing. But I'm also kind of going this way because of things that happened in Voyager and Enterprise. So there seemed to be a time fleet a few hundred years past the events of Voyager, and they would periodically come back in time and do some interference or corrections, such as like the episode Future's End. That took place the 29th century, where rather the time traveling people came back from the 29th century, which would be the 2800s, to prevent something cataclysmic from happening. And they thought that they had to destroy Voyager to do that. But this takes place in like the 3000s, and I'm wondering if this might have something to do with that was the event that this character Cleveland Booker mentions as the burn. What if that from the episode Future's End is actually they're living in that timeline where that event actually happened and wasn't kind of resetted out of the timeline, like what happened at the end of Future's End, where they were actually, they went back to 1996 and prevented this time ship launch from this corrupt business dude who didn't understand how to operate the time machine, and ended up blowing the entire Earth solar system to hell. So yeah, that could be it. Where it'd be a good way to bring things back into Star Trek canon, while also able to ignore Star Trek canon, because that incident was resetted out of the timeline, which is actually kind of an issue I have with Voyager, but that's for another video. They use that trope too much where, oh yeah, this awesome cool thing happened, but oh hey, yeah, by the end of the episode never actually happened. I mean, that happened in Year of Hell, Future's End, things like that. And also in Enterprise, there was a huge story arc regarding what they called the Temporal Cold War. There was just a lot of dealings with that. That ended up being resolved, I believe, but I don't think. I wouldn't be surprised if there are still other factions and things going on related to that. Maybe not that war specifically, but if there's time travel wars that took place during the Enterprise time, there's probably time travel wars just kind of going on throughout the rest of the Star Trek timeline. And yes, I'm really focused on this whole time travel thing. I'm pretty convinced of it. Okay, so it looks like that there's a Trill, that they're going to be featuring the Trill. I'm not entirely sure how long the symbionts live, but if it's not directly stated anywhere, but hell, even if it is, they probably wouldn't mind contradicting it. We'll probably see a new Dax, which would be cool. So I'm anticipating in this season that Burnham will become the de facto leader of the new Starfleet. I think that seems to be kind of what the issue they're going for, along with the new character, Cleveland Booker, who I predict that he's not going to survive this season. It's just going to be more of something to make something to add the drama and create heartbreak for Burnham later in the season. Looks like they share a kiss in the trailer, so there's obviously something there. So I anticipate he's not going to have a very good ending. And I think there will be a lot less emphasis on the ship. So I think whatever planet they're on is going to be, they're going to do all their fighting and war and whatever the heck that's going on. They're going to rebuild the Federation and correct whatever the hell happened. So trying to tie it back into Future's End, that was just something that I just kind of came up with off the top of my head, and I really hope it kind of goes in that direction, because at least from this moment, it sounds cool. I mean, you can tell me, nah, that sounds stupid. I mean, maybe tomorrow I'll agree with you, but you know, I do think it's, as much as they're trying to get out of the Star Trek canon so that they can tell their own stories without the limitations, I do think that Discovery has done best when it took things that are canon and ran with it. Such as when we saw the episode The Telosians. Actually, that worked out pretty well, because between the episodes of The Cage and the Menagerie of the original series, the ones with Captain Pike, there was no indication he wanted to go back to Talos 4. And that episode of Discovery where Spock ends up taking Burnham to, or has Burnham take him to Talos 4, and then we see what Pike's feelings are about that. It kind of connects those dots. So that's kind of those little things that Discovery has done well that I don't think they get enough credit for. So, and then kind of using what we all know happens to Christopher Pike, using that as an important story point in the Discovery second season. I think that was smart, and that was good storytelling, in my opinion. Of course, this is all my opinions. So, yeah, but that's kind of all I got to say about that. So I'm definitely looking forward to Discovery Season 3, which will premiere on CBS All Access October 15th in the US. And I believe it is October 16th on Netflix International. Okay.